Hey, Dan here with another Amiga related video. This time I'm going to be answering a question that I've been asked by several people since doing my videos recently on the Amiga 600 and the 1200, and also reasons why I'm an Amiga user in 2011. I've had a lot of people contact me that were Amiga users, back in the 90s, and have kind of got a bit of a bug for the games and the software, and wouldn't mind using some of the old Amiga software again in 2011. The only problem they've got is, how on earth do you play it either on traditional Amiga hardware or in emulation? Well, by far the easiest way to do it would be to go out and get a copy of Amiga Forever. Now, I'll post a link to everything that I'm talking about in the video description. Amiga Forever, though, is an all-in-one compilation that also features a few interesting DVDs as well if you get the DVD edition of this. It comes with a few discs included. 2 DVDs included here with loads of historical Amiga videos on here, including a tour of Commodore back in the 80s. You've also got interviews with the original founders of the Amiga. Dave Haney's video on here as well, the Deathbed Vigil, which was the last day of Commodore when they closed down in 1994. All of which are absolutely fascinating viewing for Amiga fans. And also they have put all the WinUAE emulation together and bundled that with loads of software, workbench installs for every different variation of the Amiga. And I actually did a video for Chris Perillo's YouTube channel last summer talking about the latest edition of Amiga Forever 2010, as it was at the time. Now, I'll also put a link in my video description to that review that I did for Chris Perillo. So that is probably the easiest way to do it. And if, in this day and age, there are some people that are still against pirating old Amiga software, but the way I see it, if it hasn't been on sale for 15 to 18 years, you're not really doing any harm by going into Google and doing a search for Amiga ADF. I'll also put the Google search in the description as well. Basically, ADF files are image files of old Amiga floppy disks. So what you do is you download those on your PC, and then you just simply load it up in the emulation, which would act as a virtual floppy disk drive. And then you can play the old games straight off the floppy disk drives, as if you did back in the 90s or the 80s whenever you were an Amiga user. Now, that's really straightforward to do. I'm sure you can figure that out for yourself if you're using emulation. The problem comes when you go out and buy some original Amiga hardware and you'd like to use the software you've downloaded on that. So if you've got one of these, how do you get the files that you've downloaded on your PC onto this? Well, luckily there are quite a few ways of doing it, varying in difficulty depending on how much you want to transfer and how much time and effort you want to put in, how much money you've got to spend. Now, the first way of doing it is the most cumbersome, and that would be using floppy disks. Now, every Amiga that came out, of course, did have a floppy disk drive included with them. There were, even for the day, quite small disks that the Amiga used by default. Most of them shipped with double density drives. And the Amiga used quite a strange file format, which was completely customized to that machine, using 880K double density floppy disks. Double-sided, double-density discs they were, which are increasingly hard to find these days. Now, if you do buy some floppy disks, they'll probably come in HD format. And what you do, though, you can trick the drive into thinking it's a DD disc by putting a piece of tape over the second hole. Now, some people reckon that increases the risk of errors and also reduces the lifespan of HD disks by downgrading them, but I've never really had an issue with it. Of course, the main problem is that the Amiga had a custom file format which PC floppy disk drive controllers cannot read or write to. So probably the simplest way of doing it is to format your disks on your PC as a 720K MS-DOS format. And then using the Amiga, if you've got Workbench version 3.1 or above, you can also get it as a third-party product for the older versions, but you can get a piece of software called CrossDOS. Now, on your Amiga, if you've got 3.1 or above, it will be in your Tools drawer, and then you go into Commodities, in there, a little file in there called CrossDOS. Double-click that, and then it will allow your Amiga to read 720K MS-DOS floppies. So you download the software off the net, use a file splitting utility probably to fit the 880K images onto 2 720K disks, and then transfer that over to your Amiga, and then you could use a piece of software called ADF to write that to Amiga floppy disk, actual disks in the 880K format on your Amiga. So obviously that is a bit cumbersome, particularly if you've got a lot of games to do. It's alright if you've just got maybe a disc or two here and there and you've probably already got everything that you need to do it. Now, the next way to do it would be by using a SCSI adapter, or SCSI, depending on how you pronounce it. Now, I've got this on my Amiga 1200 that I use. It's a SCSI CD-ROM drive, massive as well actually in this day and age. It will work with any drive, I believe. You might want to check me on that, but I think, as long as it's compatible with standard SCSI format, it should be alright. And then you connect it to the back of the drive and you use a little interface. There's a few of them on the market. Mine's a Squirrel interface, which is from a company called Highsoft. I can often find these on eBay for not too much money. I think I got this whole thing, the drive and the Squirrel interface, for about, I think it's about 30 UK pounds. Then literally all you do is connect this up to the side of your Amiga. So if you see the PCMCIA port on the side of the Amiga here, the Squirrel literally just slots. I don't know how to do it at this angle. There, it slots inside there. So that will allow you then to use CD-ROMs on your Amiga. So then obviously you could burn that on your PC. Simply get a load of Amiga image files or software, burn that to a standard 660 megabyte CD, put that into this, and then you could read it on your Amiga. That's another way of doing it. Pretty simple if you've got access to the hardware. Another way of doing it would be to use a hard disk. Now, traditionally the Amiga 1200 and the 600, it's got a built-in IDE interface, so it can read the IDE 2.5-inch laptop drives. Now, probably the easiest way of doing it is to get hold of one of these drives. You might have to get an adapter for your PC if you've got a 3.5-inch IDE port on your motherboard. All you need is a 3.5-inch to 2.5-inch adapter. Plug this into your PC, and then you can prepare this drive using WinUAE. So prepare it in emulation, and then when the drive's all up and running with all your files on it, take it out, put it inside your Amiga, and you can boot up and use it as your main Amiga drive. Now, of course, the problems come that these drives are getting pretty old now. They haven't manufactured, IDE drives, as far as I'm aware, for a good few years now, and particularly the size that you want to use on the Amiga. I mean, really, you don't want to use anything bigger than 4 gigabytes, which is plenty for what you'll do on an Amiga. I mean, most programs are only like a megabyte or two at most. But the problem is finding drives. A 4 gigabyte drive IDE now is probably going to be a good 10, 15 years old, and it's magnetic media. It isn't going to last forever, so you might run into reliability issues. The best way of doing it, and the fastest way of doing it, would be to use one of these. I'll give you a closer look. There you go. Now this is a compact flash card. It was, really used for cameras. Not a lot of modern cameras use them anymore. Most of them use the smaller micro SD cards now, but you can still buy these brand new in most shops that do camera accessories, or on eBay as well. And the good news is a lot of these cards, you've got to get the right brand though. Not all of them do, but you're probably going to get lucky with the SanDisk format, the SanDisk Ultra, and the Ultra 2 range as well, which can be used for it, I believe. And also I've had luck with their Transcend cards as well. I do get unlucky with them sometimes. I tried to get a generic one off eBay a while ago, but there was no using this. Now the thing you need to look out for is a compact flash card that also can be used in IDE mode as well, which means that it can be used as a hard disk. Now if you look on, I'll post a link below to a thread that's running on the English Amiga board. It's a couple of years old now, but it gets regularly updated with people posting their experiences and cards that have worked with the Amiga 600 and the 1200, which will be the only machine that you could probably do this simply with, at least. I know the Amiga 4000 has got an IDE interface as well, but it's probably going to be the wrong size adapter, so you might need to get a lead for it. But I'm focusing more on the 600 and the 1200 here. So I'll post a link below to show you other people's experiences, look at what's worked for people, and they go out and buy the exact same card. Now you can often find these on eBay, so all you need is the card itself. I've got a 4 gigabyte SanDisk Ultra 2 here, which has served me well for a while. And also you need one of these little IDE to compact flash adapters. Now you want the 44-pin 2.5-inch connector, not the 3.5-inch one. And I got this, I think it was about £3 on eBay, not very much at all. So all you do is literally open up your Amiga, and where you would normally connect the hard disk, if it's already got a hard disk in, take the hard disk out of it, and then connect this inside it with the compact flash card acting as a hard disk. Now I'm going to open up this Amiga 600 and show you exactly how I've got it fitted inside here. Okay, so I've got my Amiga 600 turned over, and the procedure for doing this on the Amiga 1200 is identical, really. All you've got to do is make sure the screws are taken out of the machine, obviously. You've got 3 along the front here, 1 in the side, and also 2 at the back here as well. Literally a standard crosshead screwdriver will get them out. Turn the machine over, and the Amiga 600 is held together with a series of tabs along the back, so all you've got to do is give it a pretty firm push all the way along so the tabs unclip. It shouldn't be too hard. You don't want to snap any of them, but it does require a bit of force if it's the first time you've opened the machine. And then the top of the machine will come away. There's a keyboard ribbon cable at the back that you probably shouldn't need to connect. The only thing you need to look out for is down here. That's the little cable there. That's the connection for the LED lights here, so you can pull that off. And then you should just be able to put this back. And you don't need to unconnect this ribbon cable for the keyboard, because it can be a little bit fiddly to reconnect again afterwards. Now if we look inside the machine here, you can see a little mod that I've done before, which isn't the prettiest in the world, but it does the job. I've got a Transcend card in here as well. So all you do is look on the motherboard there. Take this tape out of the way so you can see properly. I've kept in the original caddy that held my 2¼ inch drive that was in there before, literally one of these. I've just took the drive out of it and left the little holder inside it, just to kind of give it a little bit of a rise off the motherboard. And all you do is you use your standard little IDE cable, connect that into the IDE adapter, and put the card in the end here. Now you want to check, because at the bottom of some of them will require some insulating, so you don't make any short circuits with any of the metal on the machine itself. That will be a bad thing. But luckily with this one, all I did before, as you can see I've taken the tape off for this video, is literally bend the wire over so none of the metal contacts can touch anything on the board. As you can see, it's resting on there, and then just put some tape over the top of it. Not the tidiest solution in the world, but you know, I haven't had any problems doing it that way. And then when you've prepared this card in emulation, which is the best way to do it, if you've got a card ready for your PC, prepare this in WinUAE or Amiga Forever. Make sure the card's all set up properly. I'll post links to a thread on how to do that. Then just transplant the card into your Amiga, close it up, and then you're good to go, really. And to quote the famous phrase, here's one I prepared earlier. Now my Amiga 1200 has got a 4GB compact flash card inside it. If we pan up to its workbench screen, the Amiga is basically using two 2GB partitions on this 4GB compact flash card as a hard disk, really. And as you can see, the loading speed is really nice, and you've got a completely silent machine as well. And then all you do, you can download a series of install files called WHD installs, which I'll also do a link to in my video, where you can get the WHD files from. Select the ones that you want, and then literally it's as simple as double clicking on the game that you want to play. They also come with these really nice icons as well, the old box artwork. All you do is double click it, and then the game will load. And because everything's loading off a solid state drive, it's really quick, a lot faster than using floppy disks, and also you know, even faster than using the old 2.5 inch IDE drives as well. And the reliability I've found so far has just been amazing. Now the internal IDE to compact flash adapter is by far my favourite way of doing it. I mean, when you've gone to the initial trouble of setting up the card and everything, transplanting it into your Amiga, and then you can use it pretty much as the Amiga's hard disk with everything on forever after that. So I think that's probably the way to go. If you didn't really want to go to the effort of opening up your system, or you weren't really feeling, you know, confident enough with your skills for doing that, another way of doing it is to get a PCM CIA to compact flash adapter. Now if you've already got a hard disk built into your machine, all you do is you get this little adapter here that you can order from Amiga Kit. Again, I'll post the links in this video. Then you use your PC with a card reader to write the files to this, insert it into the compact flash adapter, and then this will go into, if I can find the machine, there we go. Again, it connects into the side of the machine here too. You literally just plug it in, and with the included software that it comes with, install the software, put this into your machine, and then providing you've got a workbench installation running, either a floppy disk or a hard disk built into it, you'll be able to read the files off this disk and copy them onto your machine. That's a really straightforward way of doing it. Not my favourite, because you're still, you know, relying on having to use this every time, but it's a good way of transferring files to and from your PC. The third and final way of doing it, which is a bit more tricky, and again you need the hardware, is again using another PCM CIA device. All my machines are kind of alternate between these, which is probably not doing my ports any good. You know, the pins do tend to get a bit bent out of shape after putting things in and out of them every day for a few decades. But it is by using a PC card Ethernet adapter. Now, this is also, you know, kind of the coolest way of doing it as well, because it means that you can get your Amiga online, which is, you know, a bit of novelty in itself, really. So all you need is a card that's got drivers for the Amiga. Now, there are a few of them around. The one that I've got is a CNET CN40 PC card Ethernet adapter. And you can get these for next to nothing on eBay. Literally a PCMCIA card that, again, you put into the side of your machine. Then on the end of it here, you've got an old-style BNC connector, I think they were called, and an Ethernet port as well. Now, if you look at my setup, I'm just going to take the camera down here. My setup might be a little bit more complex than you need. If you're near your router, then literally all you do is you run an Ethernet cable from the back of your router and then straight into the PCI adapter. And then you can get your Amiga online. The way I've done it is by having a little switch box there, which is an Ethernet switch, and then running a few messy cables around the room, and then into a wall plug, which then runs an Ethernet connection into my router, which is located in my living room. So not really the most elegant way of doing it, but it does work. And then it means that you can use your network to transfer files to your Amiga over FTP or any other file transfer that you choose. Cloanto actually make a nice little package which is called Amiga Explorer, which is all point and click. All you need is your Amiga's IP address, and then you can run that software and explore the Amiga's drives from the PC and vice versa as well. So there you go, there are a few solutions on ways to get software from the internet onto your Amiga. If you've got any questions, leave me a little comment below.